Good morning. I started a little bit late this morning. I was answering a lot of messages that some people had sent me last night, just so that they are at peace. We're grateful. I'm going to stay here because if a siren goes off, just inside the door here we have a bunker, and they are state-of-the-art bunkers. This is a new building. We dedicated it in November 2019, so less than 6 years ago. So it has state-of-the-art facilities. There you have the Sea of Galilee ahead of you. So last night, I heard the sirens, I forget, it was 3 or 4 times. So little interruptions, but thanks be to God, I got quite a bit of good sleep. And obviously we're all praying in a situation like this. That's where our refuge is. And the bunkers are great, but at the end of the day, all the safety measures we put on, the safety belt in the car, and the care with our food, and the way we use electricity and water. Human life is always fragile, and it's just that big disappointment really that human beings want to attack each other. But this is the reality since Cain and Abel. So human history has been familiar with this for a long time, our entire history. And as little children, we have our little conflicts over playthings with our siblings, and we have to learn to make space for the others. And that's the challenge of life, the challenge of the other, who is a blessing for us, made in the image and likeness of God. The challenge of growing up, of maturity, of people's learning to live together. And there's a great line about peace, sow justice and reap peace. And that starts in the home, it starts in each of our lives. And today we have a very beautiful psalm. The Lord is kind and merciful. It's Psalm 103. And that verse that I quoted comes from verse 8, the beginning of verse 8. The Lord is kind and merciful. The kindness that made these flowers, that created them. And the mercy that looks out for the broken one. Cain, where is your brother Abel? I am your keeper, but you are your brother's keeper. The way God keeps the flowers, a system of creation that goes on and on and on and on. So many wonderful life defense mechanisms at work in nature. And the birds. And the flowers, and the plants, and the animals, and the human beings that give God such great delight. He expresses that. In creation, we have to renew that. We have to renew that hope and be those who are committed to make it happen. In our own hearts, first of all, to be kind and merciful. It's easy to condemn even the criminal. It's easy to condemn the violent person. And we know from the stories from the prisons and the conversations with prisoners in the highest security zones, that they have had very troubled childhood. They have had very difficult circumstances in their lives, deep hurt. And those deep wounds leave great unrest in the heart, and a view of reality that's very damaged. And the healing process is long and arduous. And we know that from our own families, words we speak that hurt, and they take a lot of time to repair. Words spoken in anger, over perceptions of injustice and disorder. For those of you who have joined, I'd like to go further away in the live stream and the stroll, but I'm staying here near the bunker in case the siren goes off, so you don't have to be worried for me. In about 20 seconds I can be inside in the bunker. There are lots of bunkers here. That's a legal requirement for construction. It's an adaptation of human adaptation to the reality of potential trouble. Just like we put a banister on a stairway. This is kind of a standard. For every so many rooms there's a bunker here. State of the art, built for protection. So it's a time for prayer, a time for renewal of our lives when we see these situations happening. It's time for pondering about what's my life's contribution going to be. How can we raise new generations committed to peace, starting in the creche, starting in the kindergarten, starting in the grade school and the high school, and in marriages, in the home, between spouses. How much energy, so much wonderful God-given strengths we have are wasted in incredible conflict. It doesn't look like we're going to get rid of that very fast, very easily in our hearts. But then how to learn to benefit from it, because God is a God of redemption and He's a God of blessing. And when we have conflicts, we mature because we can mature. We have the opportunity to grow in patience, to become more patient, to also enter understanding for the other who is in conflict with me. Why are they thinking like this? Why are they talking like this? What actually is their understanding? I need to understand them. What's going on? How can we meet? And sometimes hearts are very hardened and there doesn't look like any perspective of meeting. And there again, we want to be people of hope. We won't give up. We will try to reach out. And this is the beautiful first reading we have today. I know there are some people following here, maybe listening, who are not Christians, who don't share our Christian understanding of reality and of Jesus. But maybe some of them also appreciate Jesus as a great person, as a great thinker and a great leader. And the question today that the reading asks really is, my relationship to Jesus, this first reading. The question Jesus asks us in the gospel reading is if we are truthful when we speak, that we don't need to swear, we just need to be true in our words, that what we say is what really is what we understand, and that we don't deceive others. And that's a marvelous quality, human quality, and we all have to struggle with that. There's so many times that a lie seems an attractive solution to a tense spot in which we find ourselves. And yet we know that one lie proverbially requires 9 lies to cover it up. And so it's not a very wise track to follow. And we are urged by Jesus in this gospel text to be people of truth, that our words are true. And it's a big call also to media interests, to writers, to speakers. And we all speak a little, and sometimes we write messages to each other, to be truthful, to be uplifting, to be ennobling, to be a blessing for others. And we're coming back again now to the first reading, the beautiful text there, the love of Christ impels us. I remember the line we learned in the first years in the novitiate in the seminary 50 years ago. It's in Latin, it's caritas Christi, the love of Christ, urget nos, urges us. And we know the meaning of urgent, urge. And the translation we have here in the English today is impels us. And that's the challenge of translations, how do you translate well? Because each language and each people have their own perception and express it in a wonderfully rich way, like all the different richness of the different plants, different expressions. And at the end of the day, there's very little difference in the chemicals inside, just like we human beings are 80 or 90% water. So it's the same ingredient. But we have so many different languages and cultures, and that's the beauty. Like a symphony, so many different types of music from the same instrument, so many different types of music compositions from authors of music. This is a pilgrim who came here to pray, I think, if it's the same person who's walking there. And obviously his family is a little concerned, but we had a great chat last night in the bunker. Everyone has their story. And so the love of Christ impels us, once we have come to the conviction that one died for all, therefore all have died. This is a very strong text. So let me go simply. We cannot love somebody unless we know them, and we should know them in truth. And we need to have a story about them in truth. And any person you know whom you love is because you know them. And then you know such and such about them, and that's attractive. So I asked those who are Christians and followers of Jesus this morning to ask yourself, what is that attracts you to Jesus? And it's good because every relationship needs renewal. That's why it's so good for spouses to take a couple of days or just even a meal in a special way together to recall and renew what brought them together, what they appreciate in each other. And that conversation is different from the 25-year-old spouses and the 85-year-old spouses who have been 60 years together. There's such a maturity there, such a development. And there's a wonderful line here about knowing Christ according to the flesh and knowing him according to the Spirit. And so Peter and James and John knew him in the flesh, as did his mother Mary, and Joseph, the carpenter in Nazareth, and the neighbors, And then little by little, those who knew him when he exposed the deeper mystery of his person got to know him in another way. Through his words, the beautiful teaching. Do not hate. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who are just, who seek righteousness. This is something very appealing. Blessed are those who are merciful. And that goes back into the psalm. The Lord is kind and merciful, and we're made in his image and likeness. The care for the sick, the care for the destitute, the care for the downtrodden. So there's a lot for us to digest today. There are a lot of beautiful thoughts in this reading today. And one of them is about reconciliation. And we are God's ambassadors for reconciliation. What a wonderful identity to have on your business card. People ask you, who are you? Oh, I'm God's ambassador for reconciliation. But that's better done than said. So two siblings are in a tangle, and the older sibling understands this a little bit, and he realizes, gosh, or she realizes, you know, I'm here to reconcile with my sibling. I'm here to bring a bit of joy in the kitchen when I notice my parents are in a moment of tension. We all have a message of reconciliation, a mission of reconciliation, a task of reconciliation. What a way to live. It's marvelous. I recommend that to you today, to check out your identity as being an ambassador of reconciliation. In the family, in the home, in the marriage, in the neighborhood, next door neighbors. And there could have been serious conflicts. Maybe you didn't need to go to a bunker, but maybe there's work to do. Let's leave it like that for today, people. Thank you for joining in. I see quite a few people have joined in. And I wish you many blessings. May the Lord keep you and hold you in the palm of his hand. It's the best bunker we could be in, the bunker of the palm of his hand. There we have every type of protection. God bless you. Keep praying for peace, for the softening of hearts of people intent on violence. Think well of others, speak well of them, bring words of encouragement in a world that needs it very much. God bless you today. Oops, that I didn't mean to do. What happened here? Good, there we go.